You're watching ABC4 News with Emily Flores, Glenn Mills, and Alana Brophy.
There's a new warning about threats to power stations nationwide.
It comes after authorities say someone intentionally shot and damaged 2 power substations in North Carolina, leaving tens of thousands of families without electricity. News Nation Evan Lambert has the exclusive.
The FBI saying they are involved in this investigation, but it's also too soon to tell why someone did this. But News Nation exclusively obtaining a warning about similar attacks that just came out in recent days. The memo says, quote, power companies in Oregon and Washington have reported physical attacks on substations using hand tools, arson, firearms, and metal chains, possibly in response to an online call for attacks on critical infrastructure. The memo says the aim is, quote, violent anti-government criminal activity. It goes on, quote, in recent attacks, criminal actors bypassed security fences by cutting the fence links, lighting nearby fires, shooting equipment from a distance, or throwing objects over the fence and onto equipment. The FBI telling News Nation Tuesday it is too early to know a motive for the gunfire damage that caused widespread power outages in Moore County, North Carolina. But there have been similar cases of vandalism and plots in North Carolina and across the country in recent months. At their peak, the outages in North Carolina caused 45,000 homes to lose power. People there also losing heat in the colder months, schools forced to close, and some people forced to turn to charities to cook them food.
And I said, I'm going to stop out there and get me something to eat. Because eating out the can all the time just don't get it.
And the area where power is out is near Fort Bragg, a base spokesman telling us that thousands of soldiers and their families are impacted by this, and they are asking that soldiers have flexible schedules as they deal with the outages. In Washington, Evan Lambert.
The Associated Press has called the Georgia runoff election for Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock. His victory over Republican challenger Herschel Walker ensuring Democrats an outright majority in the Senate. So that means the vice president will not be called on as often to break tie votes. The Democrat retaining his seat despite the fact voters re-elected Republican Governor Brian Kemp and chose an all GOP slate of statewide constitutional officers.
President Biden traveled to Arizona today but did not visit the border. Republicans claiming the president is ignoring issues at the border while his administration says it's working to fix them. Washington, D.C.'s Anna Warnock has more.
Good evening. President Biden was in Phoenix today to promote domestic chip manufacturing. But his trip to the border state without visiting the actual border angered a lot of Republicans here on Capitol Hill. President Joe Biden says his day trip to Arizona doesn't include a stop at the U.S.-Mexico border because, quote, there are more important things going on.
Mr. President, no, there's not anything more important.
Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz calls the president's decision disgraceful, especially at a time with record numbers of illegal immigrants crossing the border each month.
Joe Biden has not bothered to go to the southern border once since he's been president. Joe Biden and the Democrats simply don't give a damn.
Republicans continue to blame the Biden administration for the border crisis. But Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the Biden administration inherited a broken immigration system.
A system that everyone agrees is broken and that Congress must address now.
To fix it, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says lawmakers are trying to strike a last-minute immigration deal.
Senators Sinema and Tillis are talking, and I welcome people discussing it. It's something, obviously we'd very much like to get done.
Schumer says the immigration deal that Senators Sinema and Tillis are working on is still in the early stages, but he says he's hopeful that they'll be able to wrap it all up in the next few weeks. For now, in Washington, I'm Anna Warnock. Back to you.
Lava flowing from Mauna Loa in Hawaii, slowly approaching a major road that connects the east and west sides of the Big Island. Having to shut down that road would be a major inconvenience on the island and could impact important astronomy research. The peak next to Mauna Loa has some of the world's most advanced telescopes. If the lava does hit that roadway, it would force people who work in the astronomy lab to take long, out-of-the-way routes to work.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
And here at home, let's take another look at that forecast.
Fog, another concern today, but some incredible sunsets on it.
Yes, very, very pretty sunsets tonight with the cloud cover, that low cloud cover. This is what it looked like above the fog layer. Scott Taylor catching this one. I know, those low deck of clouds really taking over our northern valleys. And without much movement in the way of wind, we're going to see that again. This is the tippy top of the Ochres. Gosh, that fog layer means business, and it is out there still. We are seeing it behind where that stalled front has draped itself, which you can kind of make out here in the central and south central portion of the state. We are going to start to see some changes, though, and it's not just in the north. We've got patchy fog to start off the day, but a midweek storm with accumulating snow for a portion of the state that typically doesn't see it, and some of that moisture wants to push north. How far will it get? I'll show you. And this active pattern, it isn't backing off. We're going to stay active. As we head into tomorrow, moderate air quality expected from Salt Lake County up to Cache Valley, as well as Weber and Box Elder County. Now, when we have fog, it actually forms more so in the counties that we see pollution. That water vapor condenses around that solid pollutant, and yeah, it's noticeable. Freezing in Salt Lake, teens in Logan. It's cold where visibility is really down, socked in there. 30 in Provo, 20s in Castle Country, teens over in Vernal, 28 in Cedar City, and 40s at this hour in St. George. We topped out at 37 in Salt Lake today. Great shot here of Bryce Canyon, of the snow that came through. John introduced me to Aspen. Hi, Aspen, who was taking in the sights and sounds of Bryce, who will pick up additional snowfall as we get through tonight and into tomorrow. Here's why. Upper level low has been a key weather player for the last couple of days. It's weak, but it's tracking inland. It's got a counterclockwise flow. So we're grabbing some of that moisture from the Pacific and we're going to drag it into the Beehive State. So we will see valley rain and snow, and accumulations are likely. As a result, we've got a winter weather advisory, not just for the LaSalles and the Abajos anymore. That's now for the Grand Staircase area and extends over towards Cedar City because accumulating snow is on the way. How much? Well, doesn't seem like a tremendous amount, but there's potential. Trace to 2 inches in our valleys, and I will say that's going to include over towards Zion, where we could see a dusting. Mountain valleys at 1 to 3, so places like Loa, Panguitch, near Bryce Canyon, Torrey will get accumulating snow. 3 to 6 in the high country, and that's near Bryan Head. We know that the LaSalles, Abajos, and the San Juan Mountains will be on the higher end. We will see some roads impacted. That includes Highway 89, Kanab, and east of it we'll see snow, and the roads, the state roads, in and around Hinksville, heading towards Lake Powell. Here's a look at the futurecast, which gives you an idea of when this is going to start to happen. 7 a.m. We've got rain near Powell and St. George, and snow starting to fill in. That's going to push a little further north as we make it towards lunch, and 4 p.m. that slides further north into Castle Country, over towards Richfield, the I-70 corridor, and Nephi. Utah County, again, could see snow. Now, some of this wants to sneak into the Salt Lake Valley. Notice how we get it on the eastern side of the state over the Uintas and eastern Utah. Watch as it kind of sneaks in by 10 p.m. There's potential not just for Utah County, but maybe the southern end of Salt Lake County to see just a little bit of snowfall, light snow, so it's not ruled out of the question. It's a weak Wednesday storm, but it's happening. Another quick hitter rolls in on Friday. Notice how the model brings it in for northern Utah, and that brings potential as well. Then we get a bit of a break, but it doesn't last long. By Saturday night, our next storm's taking aim. It's going to be a statewide storm, and it's cold. It brings the chance of accumulating snow and even rain transitioning to snow in different portions of Utah, including the south. St. George could see some mixed precipitation. I know, Washington County, the higher elevations of Washington County there. 30s for daytime highs tomorrow, 30s and 40s on the eastern side of the state, 30s for the I-15 corridor, upper 40s in St. George, where it's going to be rain in Washington County tomorrow. And then as we get towards the end of the weekend and next week, that's when that next system comes in. And there's a chance that we put in a little bit of snow there. Here's the Wasatch Front. Slight chance, again, by 10 p.m., maybe some light snow tomorrow with that weak system. As we take a look at Friday, that quick hitter comes through. And then Sunday into Monday and possibly lingering into Tuesday, we have another larger storm system. That one we're keeping our eye on because that could be one that actually produces, comes in and is like, let's go.
Here we go. So, okay, thank you so much, Alana. We appreciate it. Time now for Look at Sports with Dana Green.
Dana,